Ah! Ah! Meowdy, everyone. I had to break out the video essay camera to get this video done finally. Not a very high substance video, just a thing I've been meaning to make for a while, which is that I've been going to the gym lately. Specifically, I meant to make this video at the beginning of the journey as like a pay it forward kind of inspiration thing. I don't know. I'm like a weird influencer type thing sometimes that gets people, that affects other people with my own decision making and so on. So I try to pass on any kind of positive choices that I'm making and so on. And I've been going to the gym. I've been going since like August now, trying to just develop the habit. And the main thing here was that I just had a series of people in my life that were talking about going to the gym and like just getting involved in different ways. In particular, Toaster started going to the gym because his boyfriend Blazer just liked going to the gym, and so they're being pulled into going to the gym and so on. And then Dax Horror Buns, one of our other co-hosts, is what we call us on No Playing Games, our tabletop channel, was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and so on. And I'm like, I need to get in on this. Let's go. And I was still living down in Modesto, and I was living with Stephanie, and I was like, you know, we should do this. Like, we should be like a accountability buddies or whatever. We should like be gym buddies. Cause like for me, I thought that like I need like social guilt in order to go to the gym. Like I need some sort of obligation so that I still go when I don't mean to go. Cause one of my things is that like I've been somewhat health conscious periodically, the way that everyone kind of is, since like I was like 20 or something, being like, I got to think about this thing or that thing. Like I should consistently go on walks. I'll become a runner or something. I'll lift weights, going through eras of like getting like Xbox Connect exercise games and stuff like that, or trying to make myself play Dance Central all the times, or the Ring Fit for the Switch and so on. A bunch of different gimmicks or approaches, and inevitably it's just you. And so you do it for a while, and you kind of feel good at first that you're doing it, but then at some point nothing's really happening, so you kind of just like stop doing it. And it's usually like a break, like you don't feel good one day, or you're too busy for a moment, and then suddenly you look back and you're like, okay, Jesus. It felt at the time like I had been doing that habit forever, but I actually only did it for like a month. And it's now, looking back, it's been like 3 months or 6 months since I even did it once. And you're like, it's that easy to fall off of going on regular walks or doing this or that thing that's some kind of exercise habit and so on. And it's the kind of thing where like anyone who is able-bodied to do so, I think should be engaging in some form of exercise regularly if their job doesn't put them through the ringer already in that kind of way. Just because it's like, we're just talking about like long-term health and just like feeling good about yourself and just feeling good inside physically, not necessarily about like an image thing and so on, but just like, are we taking care of ourselves and so on? Like, I'm not talking about like any idea that there's a correct way to look or a correct level of like body fat or muscle or anything like that, but just like I think we pretty thoroughly know that like exercising is better than not exercising, no matter what the results specifically are in any kind of cosmetic way. It's just being active is good for you and being sedentary is bad for you. And I work right here all the time. So I'm definitely thinking about that, and I'm getting older. I'm going to be 36 in April, which is older, not old, like old enough that you should really be worrying about your long-term stuff. So I was like trying to get to the gym. I tried pairing up with Stephanie, and that was a terrible idea because we are just really, really bad at coordinating anything and committing to any plans. Like, I haven't seen her once yet, unfortunately, since I moved all the way back in like July up here to Sacramento. And in particular, recently we tried to make plans to watch the third Knives Out movie together in theaters, which, as you might have noticed, the opportunity has passed for that, and I still haven't seen that movie, unfortunately. That's just a bummer. That's just what happens. So, not a good choice for gym buddy, as far as like if you want to consistently go to the gym. It's good to think there's the stuff. I thought I'd share what has worked for me, which was actually to have an online gym buddy. So this is a thing where like you guys, being a bunch of furries on average, I mean, I don't know, what specific demographic of people made their way to my vlog channel. But if you're a furry, you probably have online friends. And so what I do is just I coordinate with my dungeon master from Null Playing Games, Ka, and we just text each other back and forth that we go to the gym. We just say gymming, and then he says gymming, and then, yeah, there you go. We both did it that day. And that's like the back and forth sort of handshake of just like we both did this thing and we're committing to the schedule and we're just doing it. And that little acknowledgement, that little obligation has been like keeping us going and so on. Admittedly, we both have unusual setups. We don't have day jobs. We both have online jobs. He basically he makes his money making like VR chat avatars, and I make my money with doing YouTube nonsense. But that's also part of why I really wanted to commit to this. I'm like, if I'm a YouTuber and I'm making my own schedule, I especially don't have an excuse. Like, I should be taking care of myself really actively. And like, why not get swole? Wouldn't that be fucking great? I want to be swole. That'd be fun. I would like to be made of shapes and things instead of just like whatever happens when I sit around all day. So that's what I'm working on right now. And I encourage people to do the same because like, I realize like it's not like a huge secret or anything, like not a crazy revelation, but like just spreading the idea of like, one, just this positive idea of like, let's take care of ourselves. And some people will just already think, like people will just respond to that on some level and might actually make a choice. But also like, I wanted to just share that little bit of advice. I'm like, if a bunch of you are furries or just have a lot of online friends, you can probably find a gym buddy, just that one that won't necessarily go to where you go, but not necessarily in person, but they will be online, and there's like still like that level of obligation if that's what you need, almost like body doubling in ADHD or something. It's just like if being observed and having to check in to prove that you do the thing is enough for you to do it, then like you can find someone to be accountable to online in your friend groups and stuff like that and get that going. And you can also just like encourage each other both to do this thing. So I think that's a good idea. And I wanted to share that idea, and also just on some level, it's like I'm copying the tape and I'm sharing it like in The Ring. I'm both spreading the curse to you to think about fitness, but also it's also like deepening it for me, which is now even more people know that I need to keep doing this thing. So now I've got to like keep going, because like now people are expecting me to like slowly look different over the course of the next few video essays or something, if I ever fucking make one ever again. I'm already gonna look really different in the fact that all my fucking hair is gone. I had an idea to cut my hair as like a reveal in a video, midway through a video, but I took so fucking long to make anything ever again that I just went and did it. But hopefully more video essays this year. I did work on a lot of them last year, just none of them actually reached the finish line, which was very frustrating for me. I went into the last year with the plan of making 6, like one every other month. I was like trying to like establish like a tempo of making shorter ones, and completely failed. But let's not get dragged into that whole topic. As far as gyms go, I've been going to Planet Fitness, which I don't know, they're corporations. They're probably evil, so sorry about that. There was a closer gym, but there was a bunch of reviews online were kind of commenting on the owner. And when I looked into them, it really seemed like they were a fitness guy on social media who was also the owner of a gym, and just like a loud personality that might be trying to make content there in the gym and so on, and also might like be a kind of one-on-one in like coming up in your shit and maybe trying to sell you on like bigger memberships and lessons and like hands-on stuff in a way that like preemptively stressed me out. So I did not want to deal with that. So I've been going to Planet Fitness, which is really just a place where you pay a monthly fee and you just walk in. I personally got the subscription level that lets me go to any Planet Fitness, which has actually been really handy, because I have one gym that I always go to on normal days, but there are just days where I'm like, today would work a lot better if I ran errands. And most of my errands take me in the opposite direction into town. And like if going to like pick up like medications or groceries and stuff like that. And there is a gym that is less convenient, but is over there in the direction I'm more likely to go for other stuff. And I'm like, that is actually neat that I can pay one membership and go to 2 different gyms that are in the same overall chain. Definitely have an inherent slight ick to anything that has the vibe of like a Starbucks or McDonald's, just like any like continuous chain. I'm always like, this is probably bad for the world in some way, but I can't shoulder the morality or ideal consumer habits on every single part of my life. I'm just trying to get into better shape. And I want to do something other than just going on walks all the time, which is what I was doing last year overall. So been sticking to that. Right now, I'm not trying that hard. I'm trying to be consistent, and I'm trying to be consistent for a very long time. I want to hit the point where I'm itching to go to the gym during trips. Like, I find that interesting, is I have a bunch of friends that I room with at furry conventions, or that I meet up with at furry conventions, and they will go to the gym in the morning at the hotel gym, because it's part of their like overall like rhythm and tempo and so on, and like they have that drive to do so, and they'll even like coordinate and go to the gym together and so on. And I'm like, that's interesting. I would never even slightly consider doing any kind of fitness thing during what is functionally like a vacation. So I'm like, I would never think about that. So that's interesting to me. But I just want to hit that habit. I would love to figure out when the fuck that part happens when you're supposed to be getting like endorphins from working out, and like it makes you feel good and cool in some way. I do remember that like when I first tried weightlifting like 2 or 3 years ago at home, my arms like completely locked up. Like the next day they were so stiff that they were like bent like this, and I would like have to take my other arm and stretch my arm until it was straight. And it was like, one, as somebody like kind of enjoys like that kind of like soreness where it's like not quite pain, but just kind of like a novel, it's like somewhat negative feeling. You're like, huh. Like that was like interesting to me. And it would return to being like kind of like fucked up, and I'd have to like re-stretch it again throughout the day. That feedback was good, because I was like, I must have done something if this happened. Look, unfortunately, I think there's like acids or whatever the fuck in your body that end up in your muscles, and you kind of like expel them when you exercise. There's like something in your muscles that does that. And unfortunately, that does just go away immediately. I think you can work out hard enough that you can have a similar experience, but that initial feedback that was like, oh man, like that, I wish that was more that happened more, because, I mean, it's a little debilitating. It's a bit of a bad idea, but like the fact that I went late weightlifting a few years ago and immediately had such a direct feedback in my body made me feel like I was doing something. And the fact that that doesn't keep happening is a bit rougher. Like you really have to just keep telling yourself that it's worth committing to the long term, have a schedule, have someone that's kind of keeping you on schedule, probably take before and after pictures, which I didn't do. I didn't take any before pictures because, whoops, I meant to make this video right at the beginning, like on the beginning of my journey, which would be kind of like a before picture. But that was when my webcam kept freezing constantly, and it takes a lot to build up to the idea of like, I'm going to show up shirtless on camera. Like this isn't just a normal thing for me to do. And trying to talk through a video while the fucking webcam is freezing over again just made me feel, that's every time technical problems happens, it's incredibly demoralizing. But then mix that with like this, and I'm like, I just feel like a fucking idiot right now, and just ended up shelving it. And then now it's like 5 months later compared to August. But that means I've been committed to this since August. Like, damn. All right. So it's working good. I can say that this has been a system that's worked for me. I have the advantage of making my own schedule. So that both means that I can make myself do it, and not a lot of can get in the way a lot of the time. But it also means that I can really make myself do it in that, like, because I don't even have a start time for when I have to work. I really do just like go to bed when I feel like it. I try to be somewhat consistent, but like I wake up and then I just kind of like, it's less that I have an alarm clock and a schedule taking me to the gym, and it's more that I'm not going to do anything else until I go to the gym. Like that's the beginning of my day, but I might procrastinate for a bit, and that does have a knock-on effect of delaying everything else I'm going to do for the rest of the day. So it's not a small thing to commit to, especially since you have to travel to the place, then spend like 40 minutes to 60 minutes there and so on. But I've been sticking to it. Aside from that one time that Horror Buns snapped my back in half, which watched the Megaplex video there. That's a funny, I'm on a million tangents, but like that's a funny thing where people think my visual novel 3 Days to Live is autobiographical completely, and I'm like, I literally made a video about Megaplex, the same con that the game's set in, and a lot of those stories didn't make it over, pretty much just the flight part at the beginning. But yeah, as far as my thing goes, I was saying that I'm just trying to commit to the habit and make it very consistent and have it be a long-term habit, because like any level of exercise is going to have a positive impact, even if you're not like working towards really specific goals the correct way and so on. It's always better to be working out or exercising or running or whatever the fuck than not to be doing so. Maybe not literally running, because running can be bad for your ankles, which is part of my strategy actually, is that I'm specifically using the elliptical at the place because I don't want to use the treadmill, because I weigh over 200 pounds, and whenever I try to start running, my ankles just are destroyed. It's terrible. It's short-term terrible, and I'm sure it's long-term terrible. So I'm trying not to have impact on any part of my body. And so I use the elliptical machine because you get to engage all these parts of your body, but your ankles are like, your feet aren't leaving the ground and then slamming back into the ground the whole time. So my current habit is I go to the gym 2 days in a row, then take 1 day off. It's relatively aggressive in that I'm at the gym most days. I open every single day with what I call a warm-up, I guess. It was the 15 minutes on the elliptical, and every now and then I like press the buttons to just make it, the numbers just go a bit higher compared to what they have been at so far. Sort of like the resistance and incline numbers, I think. I actually haven't looked into what they do. That's how relatively casual I've been about all this. Is I'm just like, these numbers are harder workout numbers, right? I'll just like very occasionally make these numbers bigger when I'm on the elliptical. I do 15 minutes of that, watching the fucking Food Network, because everything else is news and sports, and one of those is impenetrable to me, and the other one is depressing to me. Especially if you're in certain gyms that show Fox News in a gym. Insane thing to show to public people. Like, that should be like borderline obscenity. But I watch the Food Network while listening to like podcasts or YouTube videos I'm catching up on. And so I'm like, I have like the audio experience of multitasking, but then visually, just because I have to look at something besides the wall, I'm like, yeah, Food Network works. I try to line up in front of the Food Network TV because I'm like, they're just making cool food. It's like, some of it's like the like deconstruction, like super high-end weird food, and some of it's like Guy Fieri in a food truck, depending on like what time of day I show up. It's the only time I ever watched Food Network in my life, but watching people cook is a good visual to stare at when you're stuck on an elliptical compared to the wall or the news or accidental eye contact with random people. So solid approach there. So I do 15 minutes on that. And then on the first day, I try to hit 2 or 3 machines that are based around like the shoulders, arms, chest, and so on. So I've been spending a lot of time on like the seated row, which I'm kind of at home with because I used to have a rowing machine in my room actually that I was trying to commit to, and I was physically like pretty ready to use it all the time and use it for a while on a high difficulty or whatever, on a high resistance. But it was just agony to stare at a wall of my room the whole time I was using it. Like, it was so fucking boring to use at home that I eventually rehomed that to somebody else because I'm just like, I'm not going to use this anymore. I can't. And it's taking up so much fucking space because it takes up so much space. So having a seated row at the place, which is more of like it's like it simulates the overall motion, but instead you're like pulling on 2 bars essentially towards yourself. I spend time on that. There's one where you push down on 2 hand things, and there's one where you just push outward, the chest press. Dealing with a lot of those, it's interesting seeing how muscles work, and that there's certain things that I can go relatively high on, but there's a fucking like shoulder thing. Like the shoulder press, I think, is the one where you push straight up on both sides. Can't do that one at all. Just complete baby. Immediately destroys me, especially my left arm just completely like falls behind. I noticed that I like to use ones that specifically kind of keep my two hands together, like they're kind of combined strength, because if I let myself use something that is completely independent, my left arm will not keep up and it will make me sad. But I basically do like 2 or 3 arm things, or if for some reason I feel like too sore, tired, or weird, I do the back exercise, which is that you kind of like sit leaning forward and then you press backwards with your entire torso against this like pad, which has a weight resistance tied to it, and that does like back exercises, because I would like to exercise my back, both to have any level of definition whatsoever, and also because one of my biggest gripes of getting older is that I go to these conventions, and day 2 or 3 of the convention, my back hurts all the time. And it's like I gotta lay down and stretch, or just I gotta sit down more. Like I am not used to standing and hanging out with people that long for that many days in a row, and it gets me. So I'm like actively trying to exercise my back to get away from that. Anyway, day 2, I do the same 15-minute elliptical, and then I just do leg exercises. So my favorite one's the leg press, because once again, both legs are doing one thing together. Although that's way more common with legs than with arms. The idea that the legs are almost always working together on all the machines. But I like the leg press because it's just like a very like it engages a lot of your legs overall, and it's the one where I get to feel good because I can do a very, very large number on the weight. I can do like 200 pounds pretty consistently I do 3 sets of 20 reps of 200 pounds on the leg press, and that just feels all right through the whole process. Like I feel good doing it. It's one of the exercises that doesn't make me feel like I'm kind of injuring myself, even though like that's relatively less likely in general, but like it doesn't make me feel weird inside in any real way. But then there's the leg extension, and whatever the opposite of the leg extension is, where you just bend your knees. You just sit in a very specific spot where you're really confined by a bunch of weird pads you have to manually calibrate, which does feel a little Clockwork Orange, like you're being confined in some way. That always makes the whole thing less fun. And then you either have to extend your bent legs outward, or your legs are already extended and you have to pull them inward. I try to do those ones too. They are more likely to make me feel like I'm hurting something, because I just don't love the feeling in my knees and tendons starting out, but I'm trying to get through that. I did try the horrible ankle exercise where you essentially stand and then lay against this long diagonal pad, and you have to like go take your feet from the flat position to like the ballerina pose of like extending your feet till you're just on the tips of your like the ball of your feet, and like like the way that you would like stand taller to get to a higher shelf to grab something, basically. I don't know why I'm explaining tippy toes so hard. But doing that in reps against a resistance weight is the worst thing I've ever tried to do at the gym. I don't want to go anywhere near that thing again. But that's been my overall thing. Yeah, I do the arms day, where it's elliptical, a few machines, and then head out. And then the legs day, which is elliptical, and then leg stuff, and then head out. And then I have one day off, and then I go back and do it again. So it's not a complete consistent schedule versus the days of the week. It just rotates continuously based on that 3 days. Been pretty consistent since August. And yeah, if I'm feeling out of it for some reason and don't want to do any more legs or arm exercises that day, that's when I do like back or core exercises where I do something else. Been struggling with the ab crunch thing. I'm 6 feet tall, and the ab crunch thingy, where you do this, there's like bars here and your arms are on pads and you do this over and over again, can feel good, but I also feel like I almost never feel like I fit the machine, which has been a genuine struggle of like, the motion it feels interrupted or obstructed, and like I'm doing it wrong because it never quite lines up right. In particular, because I noticed that my arms never lay flat on the pad. Instead, it's just like the tips of my elbows are barely on it while I'm grabbing this thing. And then I'm leaning forward and the thing against my back is like smashing, is like pinching and moving weird. Don't love that. I have been sticking to the middle of the gym where they just have machines where you do a very specific motion. There's a bunch of free weights and there's a bunch of other sections of the gym. I have so far not ventured into those spaces. I do kind of like the security of having a very specific machine that does a very specific thing and feeling like, oh, I must be doing it right because that's the one thing this thing does and it's designed for this thing. So that's been my approach. I've been very casual about this, sticking to it. We'll see if I get more aggressive over time and figure out more things and so on. Because like I would love to like just kind of generally have visible shapes just all up and around here. Arms, shoulders, back, chest, and so on would be a lot of fun. And then leg exercises, I'm not aiming for anything like cosmetically so much as just like I just have always liked like exercises more than arm exercises and being able to run and everything. I want to feel better about myself and more intentional in my body. And I also want to feel better just in general as I age and not have, not struggle with things like how many flights of stairs I've got to go up to get to a friend's con room or this or that walk or being a reliable person to help carry things and stuff like that. Like just generally just trying to like level up my body's capabilities. And it's one of those things where I'm like, if I'm a YouTuber, I'm not rich. I'm not doing well financially in particular at all, really. But I do have the schedule of a YouTuber. And if there's one big privilege of being a YouTuber, it's definitely that you make your own schedule. So like, I should just be going to the gym. That's like, what the fuck am I doing? Why have I not been doing that for the last 10 years? I'd probably have better numbers on the essay channel if I'd looked different. Anyway, but this is my long rambling gym video. And so I encourage you to inflict other people with gym. Do it. I do like, that's an interesting aspect of it is that it's a social bit where there are people who are self-motivated and just do stuff, but there are plenty of people that need that extra push. And so I encourage you to get in touch with some of your friends and figure out someone to like go gym with, the same way that people practicing art in the furry fandom. Ha ha ha. I rambled for too long. I did it. I rambled for too long and this fucking video ended. This was supposed to be a short update video and my camera just automatically turned off. Right in the outro too. All right, well anyway guys, recommend that you just go coordinate with your friends and socially get healthier together. And yeah. Didn't expect this to turn into so much of a story time, but every time I do ramble unscripted, I do talk for 5 years. That is a thing that happens in person and in videos, and so I don't know how I expected this not to happen, honestly. But anyway, thanks for watching, like always, guys. I'll see you next time, and sorry that it's been 5 years since the last video. I time traveled, as it turns out, in that I don't know how it's late January already. It just happens. Part of it is that, if you didn't know, I did a coffee. I opened a coffee for myself I think it's coffee. Is it Coffee Marrow Hyena? Double check before I spread misinformation about myself. Yeah, Marrow Hyena on coffee. And that was because I had a $4,500 dental bill because I need to get a root canal, which is a lot to get hit with out of nowhere. And so a bunch of people on Blue Sky and stuff came together and all donated to help out, which I'm very thankful for. Crazy turnout. And part of to help things along a little bit, I promised to make little doodles for people, to make drawings for people that donate certain amounts. And so I have been working on that constantly. So I've been recording Root Tree or Silk Song all day for my Let's Play channel, then doing an evening stream, and then after the evening stream trying to do these drawings for coffee, at which point I either succeed or fail, but then I go to sleep, wake up in the morning, go to the gym, go back to recording, and like those things combined have definitely led to time moving very, very quickly. So I just haven't made a video for a while. Whoops. Let me know what kind of stuff you want me to make videos about. I struggle with this channel because, like, one, it's good to have a place for these videos to live when I want to make them and don't know where else they would to put them and so on. But there's also an aspect of like these videos, it's a real struggle to like commit to a specific topic and argue that topic or have a specific insight about that topic and then really maintain the confidence that you have something worthwhile to say about that topic and that the video is going to be worth watching and you're not going to accidentally say something wrong that pisses people off or even just the idea that you're just like not just like fucking yapping about nothing, which I'm doing right now, but this is just like a weird life update thing where I encourage you to exercise. But yeah, I lose confidence in a lot of my premises either before I record the video or in the middle of recording the video or before I upload the video. And so sometimes they just don't make it out there, which is similar to my writing process for the video essays. But at the very least, that stuff is much more, by the time those come out, I'm much more confident because I just worked on them for so goddamn long. All right. See you next time.